How's it going, guys? Chris here. I'm back with another coach's interview. You're probably getting tired of these. It's okay. I went out of my way to find the coach who would be the most tired of doing them before we started. So that's Gubs. Say hey, Gubs.
Hey, Gubs.
Yep, he did it. He did the joke. Other people did not do the joke. You did the joke.
Because I am a good person, Chris. Some people might not think that's the case, but it is true.
Yes, Gubs the benevolent heart and soul of the
GBA.
GBA.
Yeah.
So you're the coach of the Arizona D-eoxys, and you're the guy that makes it to the playoffs and then doesn't quite win it.
Only one team can do it, so, I just like to represent, give my fans something to cheer for, and maybe this could be our year. You never know.
Yeah? How do you feel about last season? Let's go into that.
I thought it was a smashing success. I felt like, yes, my expectations were high because I did make the championship the previous year and I did lose. But at the same time, my expectations for myself are always reasonable. I know that just making the playoffs, especially in this format, is an accomplishment unto itself. And really, there's nothing to be ashamed of, being the number one seed in arguably the toughest conference in the entire league.
By a pretty disgustingly huge differential as well. Like, that's...
I would put a couple asterisks on that. One, the game against Fizz, he missed a Stone Edge, and that allowed Pincer to just go ham on his team. And then another was that game against Steve, which honestly, I thought I should have lost because that disconnection thing was just ridiculous. But, yeah. Oh well, you still got to play the games, and the results, I guess, speak for themselves.
I mean, I don't have the numbers pulled up here, but I think you were still like 10 ahead of everybody else or something like that.
Yeah, I think I was 10 ahead of John. I was like plus 29 or some stupid.
Yeah, so I mean, like, even with those two questionable asterisks, still, you can't say that you haven't figured out some kind of formula to pull good numbers out.
Well, to me, it's just catering to my play style. I enjoy balance and bulky offense. I don't like to deviate from that. I can't play stall. I just can't condone that behavior. And hyper offense just isn't my style. I don't like to just let things go down because I really am about preservation and waiting for the opportunities, not creating those opportunities aggressively.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why I play like I do. And if it works, which it generally does, it does lead to bigger differential numbers.
Yeah, of course. It doesn't matter how much HP the things sitting in the back have. As long as they're still sitting when you finish the match, you're all right.
Yeah, that's all that counts.
And then generally because, you do tend to play so, not stall, but bulky, you wear down a lot of things and force other people to sack things. So even when you lose, I don't know if you lost a single match higher than a 3-0 last season.
Yeah, last season 3-0 was my worst loss, and I only did that once. The rest were all 1-0s.
Yeah, so. I mean, that's huge. Most people average a 3-0, I think, probably throughout the season. And
yeah, my goal every season is to have an average margin of victory of at least 3-0 because that pads your differential really nicely. And I think some people devalue that and they think just win, but it's never just that simple because you're never just competing against yourself. You're competing against everybody. So you need to give yourself the best opportunity to succeed.
Yeah, that was the thing I talked to Nick about fairly early in the season. He was like, I don't really care about differential. I'm just going for wins. And then, he got into the last week of the playoffs and or the last week of the regular season, and he not only needed a win, but, he could have still lost based off of differential, depending on how things went, because his wins were so erratically all over the place. Of course, it ended up working out for him, but,
Yeah, the scenario in which he got in was really like his best case scenario. Like everybody else pretty much beat themselves up and all he needed to do was win. But if one team had decided to even things up with him and, pull even with him, then differential might have become an issue.
Yeah.
So
this is definitely a true thing. So that being said, you understand your play style, you understand the sort of things you like. But like we said, you haven't quite gotten the brass ring yet. You've fallen short 2 seasons. Is there anything you've looked at your game plan and you're saying, this is why I fell short and I need to change it? or are you just sticking with the same thing and it's gonna get you there? It just hasn't yet, but it is gonna.
I mean, I don't want to take anything away from the people I played. Danza has shown in the past he has my number, and he's proven that time and time again in the GBA. I have yet to beat him, and that's probably the one hurdle I will have to overcome, especially this season, playing him twice. But against Nick in the playoffs last year, like, Nick had a fantastic team. He's a great player. There's nothing I could have done differently. It was just he beat me, and oh well. I mean, that's going to happen. You know, we split the season series in the regular season. And, you know, we'll just come at it this season, hope to exploit some good matchups and see where it goes. Nothing's changing.
Nothing's changing.
No.
Steady ship. Sounds like you.
Yep.
You're a captain with a game plan. You're not changing it. You're going to get your white whale eventually.
Yeah. If I don't, I don't. You know, it's the goal, yes, but at the same time, we're just here to compete. And that's all I want to do is compete every week. I don't really care if I win a championship or not, because it's just not feasible. Not everybody's going to win one. So,
yeah.
You know,
I mean,
if I do, I do.
You've still got a lot of really good records as far as league records and things like that go, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I'm going for 20 wins this season. I want to be the first team to do that as well. Like, that's probably my main goal at the first half of the season, at least, is to get to 20 wins by then.
Nice.
So that's what I'm going to try to do.
All right. So that being said, heading into this, before we even get into the draft, we got to talk the off-season. Big trades with Joe. You moved a lot of things around. Did a breakdown video on that with Adam, you know, so people can go watch that if they want. Talked a little bit about it with Joe in his video. What was your thought process going into it, and, like, what did you want out of it? What did you get out of it? How you feel about it now?
Well, to be honest, like, at the start, there wasn't much of a thought process. It was kind of a joke.
Yeah.
Like, he said, "Oh, Gubs, give me Heatran." I was like, all right, how about we do Landers for Heatran? And, like, that's not happening, obviously. I was just messing around with him. Yeah. And I was thinking, well, if he really wants to do this trade, then let's make it work. Let's make the contracts, you know, swap evenly. So I was like, all right, I'll give you Tornadus Therian for Landorus I, and you give me Porygon 2 for Heatran. That makes the contracts equate, and that I would think is equitable in terms of the Pokemon's value themselves. So we did that, and I sat on that for a while. I wanted to think about it, and then I decided, well, Heracross is a great Mon. I just feel like I can't use it good enough, and I really wanted to get Toxicroak, so I offered him Heracross for Toxicroak as well. He accepted it, and that's basically how the trade went down.
Yeah. How do you feel like that adjusted your team structure? Like, because, you know, Heatran's probably in your top 3 most brought things. Mm-hmm. You know, it's definitely a staple of your defensive core. Like,
yeah.
Especially, you know, the last season, once you got Celebi, like, the two of them just pair so well together.
Mm-hmm.
Then you lost that. You lost, you know, you lost Tornadus, but you picked up Landorus, which obviously is a big, you know, offensive momentum shift. Because while Tornadus is offensive, it's not nearly as offensively scary, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But and then, you know, you got Porygon 2, which is just a weird kind of bulk, you know. So I mean, I don't know. How do you feel like it adjusted the tone of your team, if it did at all?
Well, the problem with Heatran is, while it is a tough nut to crack in some scenarios, it's also fairly predictable. You're going to do one of two things. You're going to go offensive, and that would be choiced, most likely. Like, sometimes I would go modest lefties, but I wouldn't even call that offensive. Or you're going to go with a defensive set that's likely going to be setting up rocks and all that stuff. So I felt like Heatran, while its typing and its synergy was fantastic on my team, it wasn't necessary. I do have Lax, who can still eat up fire attacks all day long, and still pairs really nicely with Celebi as well, because Celebi has that fighting resistance. So I really didn't feel like Heatran was necessary anymore. I felt like I was going after Skarmory in the draft anyway, who was a steel type. So I really wasn't concerned about having the steel on my team. And I was like, Joe really wants Heatran. I might as well take advantage of this and add some more offensive presence to my team with things I enjoy using, which Landorus is a fantastic Mon. Hits super hard with special or physical attacks, either side. And Toxicroak has that water immunity, which is really nice. And stab poison / stab fighting is fantastic. And then on Porygon 2, I think people are underrating its utility. It could be offensive or defensive as well. And I think Trace is a really undervalued ability, especially in this format. So, yeah.
That's fair. I mean, it put in a lot of work for Joe. Like, I definitely think it has a lot of use and utility and variety. You know, it's just, it's in a strange place compared to a lot of the other more traditional, like, defensive cores, you know? Because it is, you know, primarily an Eviolite thing, so it's got a glaring weakness or knockoff bait right off the bat. But
yeah, but at the same time, it is still bulky without Eviolite. The reason why Eviolite is so good on it is because it has that natural bulk to begin with. So
this is absolutely true.
It's not a necessity on Porygon 2, but it is probably its best item. I won't debate that, but I don't think it's a necessity either.
Fair enough. So in that whole thing, you brought up the fact that you pretty much knew you were going after Skarm in the draft. You had first draft pick because of your crafty trade exploits last season. So you knew you were getting whatever you wanted. It had to be Skarm, huh? Had to bring him back into the fold.
Well, if I hadn't traded Heatran, I may have gone with Terrakion. But because I traded Heatran, I think that forced my hand to take Skarm. I really needed a defogger, first of all, a defogger or a spinner. And just based off my team, I really think a spinner is not what I should be looking for. I think a defogger is much more valuable because I really don't care if hazards are gone completely. I'm not an offensive team that is predicated on stacking hazards. While I can do that, I think Defog does the job well enough, and I just felt like Skarm was the best Pokemon available. While it is really limited in what it does that one thing so well that really not very many Pokemon in the GBA can stand up and proclaim that they do the same thing that Skarmory does. So that's why I had to go after it. It's just too good.
Can't argue with that. I mean, can't argue with the work it puts in. You know, it's never going to be up there on MVP stats because it goes off the kills and stuff like that, but just the amount of minutes it gets in a game, it's always up there, and it's always putting in work. So as far as the rest of the draft went for you, how'd you feel about that? How did you get the things you wanted?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the fact that Vaporeon fell to me in the second round, I thought was kind of befuddling, to be honest, especially considering there were some teams that needed water types.
There were a few. It wasn't, you know, like last season where everybody had to go big and, you know, draft a bulky water, but there were definitely a handful.
In my opinion, like, it is UU now, but in this format, its value was much higher. It's got offensive presence to go along with its fantastic bulk. It has that water immunity. Like, I just felt like it was too good to pass up. While it is weak to electric along with Skarm, my team doesn't really care much about electric attacks. Aside from that, like, Togekiss is the only other Mon that really cares about him. And I have ways to absorb those hits. But the real value I felt in this draft was Volcarona. Like, the fact that fell to me at the end of the third round, I could not pass it up. Because I knew if I passed that up, it was going to fall to Nick and he was going to take it. Like, Nick and I both were talking about Volcarona prior to the draft, and that we both felt it was going to be undervalued and it was going to fall, and it did. So,
yeah, that was pretty big for being, I think, a last 3 pick. Like that.
It was the third to last
pick. Yeah. That's insane. You know, a lot of people are afraid of it because of the Quad Rocks weakness and things like that, or they don't want to have to bring something that's a setup mon because setup can be a little bit dangerous in this format because, you know, everything that they've brought is a counter. So if you're going to spend a turn countering, you know, setting up, they're probably going to bring in something that hopefully they planned to, you know, be able to counter at +1 or whatever. But you're not afraid of that, huh?
No, I don't think it's purely a setup mon either. It has enough speed. It's base 100 speed. It has very high stats to begin with. It's base 600 stat total.
Yep.
You can get away with choice items pretty easily on that thing. You can't run choice band, obviously, but choice specs or scarf work very well on it. You could just go life orb 3 attacks with roost. And honestly, with fiery dance, you might not even need the setup.
This is true. These are fair, interesting points.
I think people just kind of they kind of label Volcarona as a one-trick pony, and while it does do that one trick really well, I don't think that's its only trick. I think it has other value outside of that.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if you manage to pull off these other tricks and teach people, what's what with Volcarona. So that
I could have just said that so they don't prepare for Quiver Dance and I switch them.
I don't know if that's going to be a solid strategy for 12 weeks. I really hope my preseason bluff holds all 12 weeks.
I mean, after I get the first 6-0 week 1 with Quiver Dance, it's not. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, yeah, Then you just need to pull a Greninja in the D-League and tank for like 3 weeks. That's the secret there.
Nah, we don't tank. D-eoxys don't tank. We go balls out.
All right, so then you also got super lucky and got the first overall Mega Draft.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of ridiculous myself, but I can't. What is it, like lick a gift horse in the mouth or kiss a gift horse? How does that saying go? I always screw that.
Yeah, don't look a gift horse.
Look,
in the mouth.
Thank you. Look, like lick.
Yeah.
Be kind of.
Yeah, I mean, don't lick it either. That's weird.
Unless you're into that kind of thing.
Yeah, don't be into that kind of thing. That's weird.
It's not good for you.
And illegal in most states.
Yeah, I think illegal in every state.
No, I think there's some states it's not.
Oh, okay.
Some states are weird and backwards, man.
Yeah, I know. Mississippi. Not to name any names.
No, definitely Mississippi. Probably
Arizona. I mean, we don't even need to.
I mean, you just don't allow like foreign horses. That's your big thing.
Yeah, no burros or donkeys.
No.
You could have a horse.
Yeah. Your horse may be randomly stopped to check it and verify its ethnicity and citizenship, though. That's definitely a persistent Arizona trait. All right, so you got first overall Mega. You get anything you want.
Yeah.
Why Mega Mawile, besides it being broken and two-shotting virtually everything in the game?
Well, I think you just said it right there. No, honestly, I think there's no debate. It's the best Mega available in this format.
Really?
I understand that the Mega I had last season, Mega Pinsir, broke the record for kills, but Mega Pinsir, you can check it while knowing what it's going to do. Mega Mawile, there's very few checks to it, even though you still know what it's going to do.
I also think your team structure lends itself a bit more to breaking down walls for one thing to sweep than Nick's did.
Yes.
Nick has a lot of all-around players that, pick up kills here and there.
Nick pretty much can get away with pretty much anything in his Mega slot because he has Aegislash and D-eoxys S, and that's bullshit. But whatever. Yeah, but I really like Mawile having Intimidate before it Mega Evolves. That's always really valuable because there's very few Megas that have usefulness before they Mega Evolve in the GBA, and Mawile would be one of those.
That's true.
Being able to spam Intimidate. It's also got great defensive typing. Very few weaknesses. I think it's only got Fire and Ground, so... not too bad. It's got an immunity to poison, so its fairy typing isn't as hindered. And I just think all around, it's a giant threat, and people are going to have to prepare for it, and I can use that to my advantage.
Fair enough. I mean, there's not much to say about it. You got exactly what you wanted.
And I didn't want Nick to pick it. Let's be real.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's a fair part of the game. Like, fair part of the game in the draft process. Like, you have extra slots. You have 5 extra things that sit on your bench every week. There isn't really, anything wrong with picking up something so that someone else can't use it against you necessarily, as long as it has some value to you as well.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Mega Mawile would be picked by Nick or Shady or whoever after me because it is so good. Like, I'm not crying myself to sleep because I picked Mega Mawile. It's what I wanted anyway. So it's like... And it has Sucker Punch. It has Priority too. It's like it's just the total package in my opinion. If this thing had like 30 more base speed, it would be the best Pokemon in the game. So that's probably a bit of a stark declaration, but whatever.
Nah, you're going for it. You're a man of stark declarations.
I know.
That's kind of your thing.
I know. It's a very bad thing.
All right, so going into the standard questions at this point, part of the thing. Who do you want to play the most this season?
Honestly, I don't know. I heard this question and I heard you ask it to the other players. I really don't know who I want to play the most, honestly. Like I would probably say Miguel simply because I've never played Miguel.
Yeah.
And unfortunately I can't play against Adam or Dan because I really just want to play people I haven't played yet. But
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to playing Roger, see how he does. But I think the big one is me and Kote. We've made no bones about it. We have a rivalry. We're gunning for each other. And I think Kote and me is probably going to be a marquee matchup anytime we throw down.
Yeah, and I mean, Kote's kind of the man with the target on his back. Even though he didn't win, or even make it to the semifinals of the playoff, it's generally agreed by most people he's kind of the team to beat. So,
Yeah, because he got Gothitelle. Fucking...
he got Kabutops, Gothitelle, and, Mega Swampert.
Yeah.
No big deal.
Like, Gothitelle on his team is just so dirty. Ugh.
I mean, dirty. Still got to wait and make sure he uses it right. Trapping isn't exactly as easy as it seems, or all of the people with 5 trappers at the bottom of the ladder wouldn't be at the bottom of the ladder.
No, but in this format, I think it's definitely an interesting strategy. Like, we really haven't seen it work yet. But
yeah, Cooper used it a little bit last season, and, he would use it here and there, but most of the time it ended up being one-for-one trades. We'll see if Kote can use it a bit more efficiently than that.
But if he gets that one-for-one he needs,
then
things are going to shit. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, he gets rid of, your one rain check or your one Mega Swampert check, and then he's like, all right, just going to spam my win buttons here.
Yeah, but there was a common theme in the draft. It's like in my offseason, like everybody felt like I was just going counter rain with my draft in my offseason because of Toxicroak and Vaporeon, but
yeah.
Honestly, I just picked those things up because I liked them. I didn't pick them up just to beat Kote.
Yeah, so. I mean, it doesn't hurt.
Yeah. It doesn't. It doesn't hurt. You're right. But at the same time, I have reasons for things.
All right, so who do you want to play the least?
Honestly, I'm not afraid of anybody. They can all come at me. I don't really care.
Yeah.
Like I'll give anybody my best game possible. Like I'm not really afraid of playing anybody or Danza, I guess.
Yeah, you're not worried about the Danza streak continuing.
It's just I just can't play against Danza. I don't know what it is. He just has my number. So I guess that would be the one, and I get to play him twice.
Man. It's a mental block. You just got to get over it at this point.
I know. Hopefully I can. That'll be a very interesting storyline this season.
All right, so what do you think about the conferences? How do you think those shook up? How do you like your conference and your division in particular?
I like it. I mean... Again, me and Danza have history. I don't really perform well against him. I will be interested to see how Roger does. I think he probably got the short straw in terms of expansion teams.
I mean, the way it broke down, one expansion team ended up going into each division, so someone had to.
Yeah. Roger's got to be the martyr here. He's got to take the hit for all the other guys. But, it's a good division. I feel like our division is going to be competitive. I think it's pretty obvious who the 2 front runners are before the season, me and Kote, but I feel like Danza or Roger could make a push. You can't really say anybody's out of it yet. The other divisions, I really like them. I think it's all pretty even. I think everybody's probably where they should be at.
It's pretty fair, Yeah. So I think they're really well balanced this season. I think they're going to lead to some good matchups and force some things. It might be pushing you into the deep end of the pool, making you play Danza twice, but it also could be the balance that the division needs to keep you from running amok. So,
no. I'll just win 10 games. I won't win 12.
As long as you hit your 20, right? That's all that matters.
Yeah.
And what's your goal for differential this season, like plus 36?
Nah, my goal is, I've thought about this. My goal this season is 9-3 plus 10. That's, I feel, the benchmark to get a wild card spot.
That's pretty low. You're just going for the safe wild card spot.
I just want in the playoffs. At this point, I've pretty much shown I can do really well in the regular season. For me now, it is about, trying to get a championship. It's not about anything else.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. All right. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up for us. Thank you very much, Mr. Gubstacular, for joining me.
You're always welcome, Chris.
Talking.
You're a stand-up guy, Chris.
Yeah, you all right. You okay?
No, I'm a shitty person.
I mean, we're all shitty people. It's just, you know.
I wear it on my sleeve.
Yeah.
A nice dark brown sleeve.
It's weird. You know, you're in the desert. It's kind of sandy and dirty anyway.
That's how we cool down.
Don't notice. Yeah.
We shit on ourselves. So makes sense.
Probably not healthy or sane.
No, but nothing about Arizona is. Have you seen our gun laws?
I have.
Yeah.
I have. You guys are a little crazy. But I like Arizona. It's a fun place.
Yeah, I have a box of shotgun shells right next to me right now.
Box of shotgun shells, cat named Sprinkle, and, you know, probably some ciders. Gubstacular, everybody.
Oh, yeah.